Loans were forgiven.
Congratulations.
Right? And I didn't do anything. I didn't sign anything. I didn't seek it out. I just got a letter that said, "Hey, 17 grand is going away because you qualify because you were predated on." And I'm like, "Cool," cuz I gave up a long time ago trying to do anything about that.
Indeed.
But I guess all that effort way back when actually did, like, yay. Um
Well, and the
and
Biden administration's coming down really hard on the predatory lenders.
which good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should get some credit for that. I'm a little tired of hearing only bad things. The other thing I was going to share with you and the interwebs is I started reading the book that my neighbor in the hallway at the con traded me for art.
Oh yeah, across the hallway, right?
Across the hallway,
Yeah.
the dude who was describing his stuff as um, Pratchett like and Futurama like.
Yes. I
And I'm
think it was
like,
his wife's stuff, but yes.
his was Futurama like, he said, but whatever. It no, some of it was his wife, some of it was his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were both items at the same booth. Anyway, I'm a picky reader, and
Hmm.
I generally avoid a new author because if there's a fault to find, I'll find it and get
Hmm.
irritated by it. They're good. It's good. It's a good book. I want more of these characters. I'm about halfway through. I'm enjoying them. The plot's fun. It moves along. And he did make me laugh out loud once, which is actually kind of an achievement because there's a scene where the captain puts a photo on the table and he says, "This is our adversary." And one of the crew members goes, "I don't trust him. His eyes are too close together." And the captain smooths out the paper and she goes, "Oh, that's better."
That's pretty good.
Right?
Oh, this
So
reminds me
yeah,
of something I was going to tell you, but I need to look up the author's name. Hang on.
it does have a distinct flavor of Pratchettiness and Douglas Adamsiness about it. It has that um it has that spark. I dig it. I'm gonna have to when I'm done. I'll have to write a review because it's rare enough for me to find a new author that I like, and it's
Yeah.
really
Well,
neat that it's someone I've met.
on the off chance that anyone is watching this, what's the author's name?
Kevin. Yeah. Wait. I do know this. I do know this. I've been seeing it on the book cover. Kevin Bowersox.
Can you spell that?
Bowersox.
Okay, exactly like it sounds. I did not expect that. Awesome.
Well,
Well, yes.
it might actually be pronounced different because I'm going what I read.
Well, as long as people can find it. So, for anyone who may ever watch this, you should go look for Kevin's book. His last name is
Yep.
Bowersox.
His last
Um,
name is Bowersox, and if I am enjoying it, then it's quite likely that it has an even wider audience.
yes, yes, indeed. Speaking of things that I know you enjoy, so I picked up this book, this was ages ago, called 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City. And it was quite funny, and it's like this guy who's been in the army as a quartermaster for years, and he's super like corrupt because he's an army quartermaster and a con man. And then his city gets attacked, and he's like, everyone knows there's 15 ways to defend it, but I found another one, and it's just basically being a con man. And I was like, oh, this book, this is funny, whatever. And then I picked up the second book in the series and was flipping through it and flipped to the back and was like, uh, other books by this author, writing as Tom Holt. So Tom Holt
Oh,
is still writing
oh,
under the
what?
name KJ Parker.
KJ?
Yes, KJ Parker.
KJ Parker. Okay. Well, what the fuck? Why would you? What's the backstory there? Why would you abandon your Sona, your author, your fairly successful author Sona? Last time I checked,
It's a different genre, and authors do that a lot, where they'll say like, "This is also me," but they're writing under a different pseudonym for a different genre. So this is
okay.
like more high fantasy and less like parody.
I love his parodies. Well, some of them.
Yeah,
He's completely like he hits in the bullseye or he misses by 8 miles. That's Tom Holt for me. I
indeed.
don't think I ever finished Odds and Gods. I was like, this is not written for me. I am not the target audience.
Mm.
But nothing's ever been funnier than Flying Dutch or expecting someone taller.
Expecting Someone Taller, which I think might have been his first book.
Damn. Oh, would that we all had such genius.
Hmm.
We could just patronize each other all day. Patronize each other too, if that's how we swing. But
I mean, you know, if someone's genius and they write a book, you should patronize them. Wait, which is the good one?
the good one has a
Patronize is
long
the good
A
one.
because when you're a patron, you patronize.
Right, so we should patronize them. We should not patronize them. Okay.
We could be like, gosh, that's a cute little book you did there.
I have this urge to like smack your hand away, and I'm not even there, so maybe not that.
Speaking of patronizing authors, one of the reasons I don't read Anne McCaffrey is because I read her introduction to a Jane Yolen collection of short stories, and Jane Yolen is objectively just a better writer than Anne McCaffrey. Not
Yeah.
as prolific, but just better. Her turns of phrase are cleaner. Her imagery is more. Everything about it's better. And I read it. Anne McCaffrey wrote this introduction, and it was the most patronizing thing I have ever read. Like, oh, this quaint little collection of tales reminds me of my son. I'm going to put in a pitch for his book. Like, yeah, it was funny because it almost felt like a Sour Grapes introduction. Like, yeah, I guess
Yeah, it kind of sounds that
since you
way.
picked this up, you should read it. I guess you'll like it. Maybe some of them anyway. Uh, yeah. And I'm like,
It's kind of like that. Did you see Biden's eulogy for Henry Kissinger?
no.
So it is the closest he could feasibly come to saying, "I fucking hated this guy and I'm glad he's dead." It starts with the first sentence is, "I will always remember the first time I met Dr. Kissinger. We didn't always agree. In fact, we often disagreed. My thoughts go out to his family and all those who miss him." Like it's even more so when you find out that the first time he met Henry Kissinger, Kissinger mistook him for an aide instead of a senator, and then mispronounced his name when he realized he was a senator. And so in return, Biden called him somebody else's name, and that's how they started their working relationship.
That's just like the least of his crimes right there. That's like
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah, but it just
penmanship of
because
a
he says,
conspiracy.
and like he says, like, we didn't always agree. And that should be followed up with like, but he was a very, you know, he cared a lot about whatever, but no, he just left it right there.
I
We
didn't
didn't
always
always
agree
agree.
with him,
He's
Senator.
dead. So anyway, it was a lovely, very passive aggressive, and everyone else who's happy Kissinger's dead, which is everyone, was like, "Hey, all right, Joe."
I never even paid attention. I was like, who the fuck is this guy that people are like dancing on his grave? And then I did a quick wiki and I was like, oh, responsible for breaking more democracies than anyone in
Mm-hmm.
history. Like definitely a special level of hell being set up for him as we speak. And he lived to the age of 100? Or was he just like short of 100? It's like Sorry.
I think he was 100. And one of the eulogies is, "The good die young. Henry Kissinger dead at 100."
Oh,
Anyways.
which reminds me of the MST quote where someone says the good die young, and the response is, most of us are morally ambiguous, which explains our random dying pattern.
Yes,
Oh,
God, what is that in The Final Sacrifice?
no, that was in The Gunslinger, I think.
Oh, The Gunslinger, okay. I was gonna
Yeah.
say it's definitely one that we used to watch a lot.
Someone came into the consolation group on Facebook and said, "Okay, I'm caving. I've never watched an episode of MST. What should I watch first?" And the entire fandom went, yeah, they got bombed with
Oh man, I
suggestions.
don't even know what I would recommend in that situation. Probably Pod People,
Pod
I would
People's
say.
great. Merlin's Shop is great.
Merlin's Shop is really good.
Merlin's Shop is really good. The Puma Man was laugh out loud every
Puma
2 minutes.
Man. I still can't pronounce it any other way. Anytime I'd call them mountain lions because otherwise people are like, "Why are you saying Puma?" I'm like, "I can't stop. I'm sorry."
I quote it constantly, except no one's noticing because what I usually say is, "We're a fun couple." And Jason and I are being extra goofy. Like, we're a fun.
Oh,
Yeah. All right.
Varvilf? Oh,
Marvel. Oh, Marvel is a great one.
yes.
And I feel like you have to watch EGOT because Look Out for Snakes is like this running gag for the whole rest of the series.
That's true. Okay, but you know what's really like probably the most widely appealing? Monos, the Hands of Fate.
That got recommended a lot, and I'm like, but that's one you gotta watch when you've already been prepared for like the slow pacing and the
Okay,
absolute
that's
awfulness
fair.
of
Yeah.
it. Like it's a little more nuanced. Um,
Hmm.
Whereas some of the other, like, I don't think I laughed out loud once during Manos, the Hands of Fate, except maybe when um Mike Nelson was doing his Torgo, the pizza delivery guy impersonation. That did it.
Yeah, no,
But
that's fair. That's fair.
but then but Jack Frost, I laughed aloud a lot during Jack Frost.
Man, I haven't watched Jack Frost in a really long time.
It's it's one of the good ones, I think. Apparently they had to cut a couple of musical numbers in order to make it fit the runtime. So now I have like a desire to watch the original.
Speaking of cutting musical numbers,
Hmm.
guess what?
What?
Disney finally found the
Yes,
original
yes,
master of Belle Song.
we watched it the other day. In fact, we didn't notice that they'd cut it in and did the original version or the extended version or whatever. So we just cut away from it and watched the scene and came back to it. But then afterwards we were like, fuck, it was right there.
Yeah, I saw someone say like you just got to go to like extended version and they put it back in and like
Why
and
call it extended version? It's
it's the version. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Right? But I also found out finally why they had cut it, which I didn't know.
They lost the original footage when they were doing the high res, right?
Well, they lost the original footage for it, but that was because it had already been cut out for a couple of releases because one of the studio execs thought that it was like too abstract for kids and like too depressing. So they had cut it and then they couldn't find the footage. Brian Henson has been looking for the footage this whole time and finally found it.
Oh, thank fuck for once again, thank God for Brian Henson. And I would have felt this way as a kid. That song is completely necessary. It is
It's completely
necessary.
necessary.
It's necessary that he walks away from her. It's necessary that Michael Caine is singing along, even though he can't sing. It's all every second of it.
The fact that he's crying as he's watching it is extreme. Like Yeah, well, and then they reprise it at the end, so it's like it doesn't make sense.
Right? It just comes out of fucking nowhere if you don't have that song in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's great that they found it.
Some studio exec thought it slowed the pacing or some shit, and I'm like, y'all are parasites.
Yes, exactly. Studio execs are dumb. We know this.
Yep. All right.
All right, what you working on today?
I'm going to work. What am I going to work on? I'm going to do some sketches for the Black Gate because it's been a while since I worked on my Tolkien art, and people are catching up to where I'm at. Corey, I think, is at the Argonath, and I'm like, shit. And I miss it. I miss doing those the cutout kind of watercolor thing. I don't claim they're great art, but they're really fun. So I'm going to start sketching what I want the Black Gate to look like, which is different from how I made it look before because I hated that version. So yeah.
Check. Also, I think they're lovely. I have not been able to get a frame for my original of the one that I kept. But
I know, but which one was it? I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember the name of the mountain.
Oh.
Where nature hates you.
What?
The mountain above the mines of Moria.
Oh. 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 Caradhras?
Yes. Yeah, the Pass of Caradhras, right?
The Redhorn Pass?
Redhorn Pass. Okay, yes.
You don't have Redhorn Pass, do you?
I think I do. Is that... Wait, no, I kept a different one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, I kept Weathertop. That's right.
Weathertop, nice.
Because I was torn between the two of them, and I ended up keeping Weathertop.
I went to do something on my Patreon the other day and realized that I have two or three $20 patrons, and I was like, shit! So I knew about one, and then Carrie's sending me 50, and I'm like, I didn't even know. I wasn't paying any fucking attention. I'm such a doofus. I need to like send them all stuff, and Carrie needs a whole turkey. Needs to send a turkey to Hawaii to say thank you.
I mean, that's an option.
Yeah, definitely 24 is going to be my year to try and be better at Patreoning, because I'm extremely ADHD about it. I will post daily for my patrons for 3 weeks and then stop for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this, it's the definition of unsustainable. We've only got 25 minutes, so let's do art.
Well, you do art. I'm gonna read.
Yeah.
The fairest of all gems were the Silmarils, and they are lost.
They are lost.
Whoa. Which is like what this whole entire book is about. Like that's
right. That's our foreshadowing.
Indeed, foreshadowing of the entire rest of the book.
Yeah.
But Manwe Sulimo, highest and holiest of the Valar, sat upon the borders of Aman, forsaking not in his thought the outer lands. For his throne was set in majesty upon
thoughts and prayers, outer lands, thoughts and prayers.
I haven't forgotten you. I'm not going out there, but I haven't forgotten you. For his throne was set in majesty upon the pinnacle of Taniquetil, the highest of the mountains of the world, standing upon the margin of the sea. Spirits in the shape of hawks and eagles flew ever to and from his halls, and their eyes could see to the depths of the seas and pierce the hidden caverns beneath the world. Thus they brought word to him of well nigh all that passed in Arda. Yet some things were hidden even from the eyes of Manwe and the servants of Manwe, for where Melkor sat in his dark thought, impenetrable shadows lay.
So it's utterly useless.
We found you everything except the important things.
Yep.
Manwë has no thought for his own honor, and is not jealous of his power, but rules all to peace. The Vanyar he loved best of all. Wait, the Vanyar he loved best of all the elves. Okay. The Vanyar are a type of elf. I had trouble trying to figure out where to put the emphasis there.
Right? Yeah.
The Vanyar he loved best of all the elves, and of him they received song and poetry. For poetry is the delight of Manwë, and the song of words is his music. He's a poetry bro.
He is.
His raiment is blue, and blue is the fire of his eyes, and his scepter is of sapphire, which the Noldor wrought for him. And he was appointed to be the vice-regent of Iluvatar, king of the world of Valar, and elves and men, and the chief defense against the evil of Melkor. With Manwë dwelt Varda the most beautiful, she who in the Sindarin tongue is named Elbereth, queen of the Valar, maker of the stars. And with them were a great host of spirits in blessedness. But Ulmo was alone, and he abode not in Valinor, nor ever came thither unless there were need for a great council. He dwelt from the beginning of Arda in the outer ocean, and still he dwells there. We stand an introvert king.
Yes.
Thence he governs the flowing of all waters, and the ebbing, the courses of all rivers, and the replenishment of springs, the distilling of all dews and rain in every land beneath the sky. In the deep places he gives thought to music great and terrible, and the echo of that music runs through all the veins of the world in sorrow and in joy. For if joyful is the fountain that rises in the sun, its springs are in the wells of sorrow unfathomed at the foundations of the earth.
It's deep, bro.
That's
deep, bro.
It is.
That's
like I can't even.
That's the plot of an entire Pixar movie.
Okay, but like actually, I feel like they just came out with that one, didn't they? The one where like
not Elemental, Inside Out.
Oh, Inside Out, yeah.
You can't have joy without sorrow, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Something something Pixar, something something. The Teleri learned much of Ulmo, and for this reason their music has both sadness and enchantment. Salmar came with him to Arda, he who made the horns of Ulmo, that none may ever forget who once has heard them, and Ossë and Uinen also, to whom he gave the government of the waves and the movements of the inner seas, and many other spirits beside. And thus it was by the power of Ulmo that even under the darkness of Melkor life coursed still through many secret lodes, and the earth did not die. And to all who were lost in that darkness, or wandered far from the light of the Valar, the ear of Ulmo was ever open, nor has he ever forsaken Middle-earth. And whatsoever may since have befallen of ruin or of change, he has not ceased to take thought for it, and will not until the end of days.
Yay! We've got Ulmo.
Yay!
He doesn't fuck us over. Go live on a mountain and feel sad.
Right? Manwë's up there with thoughts and prayers, and Ulme's down there like, fucking hell, can you give me a hand?
Right? Like, people
want
are
something
hurting.
done, I gotta do it myself. And in that time of dark, Yavanna also was unwilling utterly to forsake the outer lands, for all things that grow are dear to her, and she mourned for the works that she had begun in Middle-earth, but Melkor had marred. Therefore, leaving the house of Aule and the flowering meads of Valinor, she would come at times and heal the hurts of Melkor, and returning, she would ever urge the Valar to that war with his evil dominion that they must surely wage ere the coming of the firstborn. Get off your asses!
Please get off your fucking asses!
Stop having banquets, the world is in peril.
Like, so she's your Peace Corps babe. Like, no, I don't sit in my armchair at home where it's comfy. I go out and actually work in the trenches. Like, come on. Yeah.
And Orome, tamer of beasts, would ride too at whiles in the darkness of the unlit forests. As a mighty hunter he came with spear and bow, pursuing to the death the monsters and fell creatures of the kingdom of Melkor, and his white horse Nahar shone like silver in the shadows. Then the sleeping earth trembled at the beat of his golden hoofs, and in the twilight of the world Orome would sound the Valaroma, his great horn upon the plains of Arda, whereat the mountains echoed and the shadows of evil fled away, and Melkor himself quailed in autumno, foreboding the wrath to come. But even as Orome passed, the servants of Melkor would gather again, and the lands were filled with shadows and deceit. Yeah, because all he's doing is blowing his horn and then doing nothing.
Right? Like, yeah. Like, that's it. Cleanse this land. On to the next one. Like,
right?
Okay, babe. Sure.
We're going to get you. And then goes home.
Yeah. Real effective.
Now all is said concerning the manner of the earth and its rulers in the beginning of days, and ere the world became such as the children of Ilúvatar have known it. For elves and men are the children of Ilúvatar, and since they understood not fully that theme by which the children entered into the music, none of the Ainur dared to add anything to their fashion. For which reason the Valar are to these kindreds rather their elders and their chieftains than their masters. And if ever in their dealings with elves and men the Ainur have endeavored to force them when they would not be guided, seldom has this turned to good, howsoever good the intent. The dealings of the Ainur have indeed been mostly with the elves, for Ilúvatar made them more like in nature to the Ainur, though less in might and stature. Whereas to men he gave strange gifts.
Yep.
And that is all it says about that. He gave them strange gifts. Don't ask.
Yeah. You don't want to know.
For it is said that after the departure of the Valar there was silence, and for an age Ilúvatar sat alone in thought. Then he spoke and said, "Behold, I love the earth." I suddenly remembered that I was doing Ilúvatar as Kermit the Frog at one point. "Behold, I love the earth, which shall be a mansion for the Quendi and the Atani." I can't keep that up.
Behold, I love the earth.
There you go.
I'll be a mansion.
Oddly enough, I have too much of a frog in my throat to be Kermit. But the Quendi shall be the fairest of all earthly creatures, and they shall have and shall conceive and bring forth more beauty than all my children, and they shall have the greater bliss in this world. But to the Atani I will give a new gift. Therefore he willed that the hearts of men should seek beyond the world, and should find no rest therein. But they should have a virtue to shape their life amid the powers and chances of the world, beyond the music of the Ainur, which is as fate to all things else. And of their operation everything should be in form and deed completed, and the world fulfilled unto the last and smallest.
Neat.
But Ilúvatar knew that men, being set amid the turmoils of the powers of the world, would stray often, and would not use their gifts in harmony, and he said, "These two in their time shall find that all they do redounds at the end only to the glory of my work." Yet the elves believe that men are often a grief to Manwe, who knows the most of the mind of Ilúvatar. For it seems to the elves that men resemble Melkor most of all the Ainur, although he has ever feared and hated them, even those that served him. It is one with this gift of freedom that the children of men dwell only a short space in the world alive and are not bound to it, and depart soon whither the elves know not. Whereas the elves remain until the end of days, and their love of the earth and all the world is more single and more poignant therefore, and as the years lengthen, ever more sorrowful. For the elves die not till the world dies, unless they are slain or waste in grief, and to both these seeming deaths they are subject. Neither does age subdue their strength, unless one grow weary of 10,000 centuries. And dying they are gathered to the halls of Mandos in Valinor, whence they may in time return. But the sons of men die indeed, and leave the world, wherefore they are called the guests, or the strangers. Death is their fate, the gift of Ilúvatar, which as time wears, even the powers shall envy. But Melkor has cast his shadow upon it, and confounded it with darkness, and brought forth evil out of good, and fear out of hope. Yet of old the Valar declared to the elves in Valinor that men shall join in the second music of the Ainur, whereas Ilúvatar has not revealed what he purposes for the elves after the world's end, and Melkor has not discovered it. water break. I do think it's interesting, like, he says, like, as time goes on, even the powers will be like, damn, I wish I could die.
God, I wish I could die. Yeah, and the whole throwaway line about they get taken to the halls of Manwë or Mandos where they could return from at some point, and I'm like, Glorfindel. Thanks for setting us up for Glorfindel later, because that's a thing. Like, whence they can return if they fight a Balrog and win, then you get to die and come back. That's your ticket.
Oh, that's what happened to Gandalf too.
Yep.
There we go. Fly, Balrog Air. The worst flight you'll ever have.
For a round trip ticket to the halls of Mandos.
Chapter 2 of Aule and Yavanna.
Ah, yes. Sorry.
Look, I can't help it.
No, I can't help quoting Monty Python, okay? That was where that came from. Go ahead.
Ahem. It is told that in their beginning the dwarves were made by Aule in the darkness of Middle-earth. For so greatly did Aule desire the coming of the children, to have learners to whom he could teach his lore and his crafts, that he was unwilling to await the fulfillment of the designs of Iluvatar. And Aule made the dwarves even as they still are, because the forms of the children who were to come were unclear to his mind, and because the power of Melkor was yet over the earth, and he wished therefore that they should be strong and unyielding. But fearing that the other Valar might blame his work, he wrought in secret, and he made first the 7 fathers of the dwarves in a hall under the mountains in Middle-earth. Now Iluvatar knew what was done, and in the very hour that Aule's work was complete, and he was pleased, and began to instruct the dwarves in the speech that he had devised for them.
Aule was pleased, not Iluvatar.
Yes, Aule was pleased, and began to instruct the dwarves in the speech that he had devised for them. Iluvatar spoke to him, and Aule heard his voice and was silent. And the voice of Iluvatar said to him, Why hast thou done this? Why dost thou attempt a thing which thou knowest is beyond thy power and thy authority? For thou hast from me as a gift thy own being only, and no more. And therefore the creatures of thy hand and mine can live only by that being, moving when thou thinkest to move them. And if thy thought be out elsewhere, standing idle, is that thy desire? Then Aule answered, I did not desire such lordship. I desired things other than I am, to love and to teach them, so that they too might perceive the beauty of Ea, which thou hast caused to be. For it seemed to me that there is great room in Arda for many things that might rejoice in it. Yet it is for the most part empty still and dumb, in the sense of silent.
Yeah.
And in my impatience I have fallen into folly. Yet the making of things is in my heart from my own making by thee.
I love that line so much. I do. It's almost enough to make me a creationist. Almost.
I was going to say, yeah, no. But I get your point. And the child of little understanding that makes a play of the deeds of his father may do so without thought of mockery, but because he is the son of his father. How do you know anything about children?
Right? There's some things you just come into being knowing, and one of them is, what it's like to be a son.
That cold, man. It is lingery.
Yeah.
But what shall I do now, so that thou be not angry with me forever? As a child to his father, I offer to thee these things, the work of the hands which thou hast made. Do with them what thou wilt. But should I not rather destroy the work of my presumption? Then Aule took up a great hammer to smite the dwarfs, and he wept. But Iluvatar had compassion upon Aule and his desire because of his humility, and the dwarfs shrank from the hammer and were afraid, and they bowed down their heads and begged for mercy. And the voice of Iluvatar said to Aule, Thy offer I accepted even as it was made, Dost thou not see that these things have now a life of their own and speak with their own voices? Else they would not have flinched from thy blow, nor from any command of thy will. Then Aule cast down his hammer and was glad. He gave thanks to Iluvatar, saying, May Eru bless my work and amend it. But Iluvatar spoke again and said,
No.
Even as I gave being to the thoughts of the Ainur at the beginning of the world, so now I have taken up thy desire and given to it a place therein. But in no other way will I amend thy handiwork, as thou hast made it, so shall it be. But I will not suffer this, that these should come before the firstborn of my design, nor that thy impatience should be rewarded. You shall sleep now in the darkness under stone, and shall not come forth until the firstborn have awakened upon earth. And until that time thou and they shall wait, though long it seem. But when the time comes, I will awaken them, and they shall be to thee as children. And often strife shall arise between thine and mine, the children of my adoption and the children of my choice. I have favorite children, and they're gonna know it.
They're gonna know it, and there's going to be wars, and there's nothing we can do about that now.
Then Aule took the 7 fathers of the dwarves and laid them to rest in far sundered places, and he returned to Valinor and waited while the long years lengthened. Since they were to come in the days of the power of Melkor, Aule made the dwarves strong to endure. Therefore they are stone-hard, stubborn, fast in friendship and in enmity. Enmity is a really hard word to say.
It really is. It never looks right either.
I know, right? And they suffer toil and hunger and hurt of body more heartily than all other speaking peoples. And they live long, far beyond the span of men, yet not forever. Aforetime it was held among the elves in Middle-earth that dying, the dwarves returned to the earth and the stone of which they were made. Yet that is not their own belief. For they say that Aule the Maker, whom they call Mahal, cares for them and gathers them to Mandos in halls set apart, and that he declared to their fathers of old that Iluvatar will hallow them and give them a place among the children in the end. Then their part shall be to serve Aule and to aid him in the remaking of Arda after the last battle. They say also that the 7 fathers of the dwarves returned to live again in their own kin, and to bear once more their ancient names, of whom Durin was the most renowned in after ages, father of that kindred most friendly to the elves, whose mansions were at Khazad-dûm. Now when Aule laboured in the making of the dwarves, he kept his work hidden from the other Valar. But at last he opened his mind to Yavanna and told her of all that had come to pass. Then Yavanna said to him, Eru is merciful. Now I see that thy heart rejoiceth, as indeed it may, for thou hast received not only forgiveness, but bounty. Yet because thou hiddest this thought from me until its achievement, thy children will have little love for the things of my love. They will love first the things made by their own hands and stuff their father. Ooh, burn.
Right.
They will dwell in the earth, and the things that grow and live upon the earth they will not heed. Many a tree shall feel the bite of their iron without pity. Aule answered, That shall also be true of the children of Iluvatar, for they will eat and they will build. And though the things of thy realm have worth in themselves, and would have worth if no children were to come, yet Eru will give them dominion, and they shall use all that they find in Arda, though not by the purpose of Eru, without respect or without gratitude. Not unless Melkor darken their hearts, said Yavanna. She was not appeased, but grieved in heart, fearing what might be done upon Middle-earth in days to come. Therefore she went before Manwë, and she did not betray the counsel of Aule, but she said, King of Arda, is it true, as Aule hath said to me, that the children, when they come, shall have dominion over all the things of my labour, to do as they will therewith? It is true, said Manwë. But why dost
that?
Why dost thou ask? For thou hadst no need of the teaching of Aule. And then Yavanna was silent and looked into her own thought, and she answered, Because my heart is anxious, thinking of the days to come. All my works are dear to me. Is it not enough that Melkor should have marred so many? Shall nothing that I have devised be free from the dominion of others? If thou hadst thy will, what wouldst thou reserve? Said Manwë. Of all thy realm, what dost thou hold dearest? All have their worth, said Yavanna, and each contributes to the worth of the others. But the Kelvar can flee or defend themselves, whereas the Olvar that grow cannot. And among these I hold trees dear. Long in the growing, swift shall they be in the felling. And unless they pay toll with fruit upon bough, little mourned in their passing. So I see in my thought. Would that the trees might speak on behalf of all things that have roots, and punish those that wrong them. This is a strange thought, said Manwë. Yet it was in the song.
I love that response because it's such a great metaphor for the patriarchy versus the feminine. It really is. When we're like, God, I wish I just had like, can we just issue every woman with a taser? Well, that's weird. Like, can we please just have something defend that which cannot defend itself? Like,
I would like it if something in my life was free from the dominion of others. Well, why? Well, I don't know how to explain this to you.
Yeah, clearly Manwë has his limitations, and that's one of the big ones. Like, yeah, there's a lot of Tolkien understood more than he probably should have, that there's a lot of femininity in the growing of things and the defense thereof should also be. Yeah. No, my sentence got tangled, but it's just so fucking funny that she's like, I really wish.
I wish the trees could defend themselves. Well, that's weird. And it is 8, so I guess we'll stop there and we'll see what Ivana has to say to that next week.
Like, are you all right? Are you on your period? You having some kind of hysteria? You plant person?
Is your uterus wandering again?
Like, oh my God, I don't have a uterus. Is your whatever?
Man. Yeah, if I was a god, I wouldn't have a uterus.
No. Is your feminine ideology getting you down?
Sounds like the start of an ad. Is your feminine ideology getting you down? Do you feel an inchoate rage that you just can't shake?
Try Ent. The walking trees that will piss off everyone that isn't a fan and make everyone secretly wish that they had one living in their town.
Remember, try Ent and don't be hasty. Well, on that note,
yes.
I will see you next week.
Indeed.
I feel like Sundays have been a little rocky. Do you want to try Mondays instead? Is that better?
We could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything going on for the next few Sundays because it was like my fault and then yours and then yeah.
Yeah.
But we could continue to aim for Sunday, but keep Monday as a backup, like as an automatic backup instead of a maybe if we feel like it backup.
That could work because then that way it's like, okay, if Sunday doesn't work out, we already have a day. Whereas if Monday didn't work out, we would be SOL.
Right. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And if we treat it as auto backup, then we won't have those just knee jerk. Fine, next week we will have 2 opportunities every week.
Sounds
we
like
still might miss it, but we might not. Darn it.
All right. Well, I will see you next week on Sunday or Monday, depending. And have a lovely week. I love you too.
I love you, cuidado.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.